So I had shared this picture earlier today of the first concept of my librarians, Blade Guard veteran boys for my Dornian chapter. This was him earlier today, and this is him now. Notice how I've added one of those pipes that go over the shoulder to siphon psychic energy. I've added a book, because librarians have books in general. So let's go over what these guys are. As I said before, I wanted to make an honor guard of sorts for my Dornian chapter. And since this chapter praises librarians because the Emperor himself is the big librarian man, the law man, they're going to praise their own librarians, of course. So naturally, they brought these guys up to the highest echelons of the chapter. Let's learn how they came to be. Long ago, in the chapter's history, there was this badass librarian, and this man did a final stand sort of shit. Whatever he was facing, he was on his last leg. He had to siphon everything he had and unleash it, I don't know, fucking powerful burst with his left arm. Why his left arm? I don't fucking know, bro. He just decided to use his left arm. Don't judge me. Anyways, this guy just went and fucking unleashed everything he had on this entity he was fighting, and the psychic backlash of the raw power that he was using blew his fucking arm out. Defeating the enemy, covered in heavy injuries and without an arm, this badass librarian, on his last stand, he kneels and fucking dies. So the other librarians that fought alongside this legendary librarian who sacrificed himself for the chapter, they later found an ordo within the chapter called Ordo Odysseum. The Ordo Odysseum trained handpicked librarians in the arts of blade mastery and warp usage. And in remembrance of this legendary librarian's final sacrifice, they would paint their pauldron and left arm red. They would call themselves the Scar Wardens. So let's get back to the specific Scar Warden. His name is Rush, cause this motherfucker do be sprinting. Now Rush has a Black Templar's cloth piece right here on his shoulder. Now I like to imagine that Rush was deployed by his chapter alongside his fellow non-librarians squad mates, just to oversee them, make sure that they finish whatever mission they need to do. It was a joint operation, so of course naturally the Black Templars came along. Unfortunately, during this perilous mission, Rush loses his fellow squad mates, his chapter squad mates. But since he's a fucking badass, he manages to stay right alongside the Black Templars throughout the entirety of the mission. And you know how Black Templars are with librarians, so. But one of the Black Templars manages to grow attached to Rush for some reason. Almost brotherly-like. The other Black Templars didn't really like that. But nonetheless, they carried on. Unfortunately, once again, Rush lost that Black Templar brother. But he stood by that fallen Black Templar's side to make that last stand just like that legendary librarian of his chapter. And the surviving Black Templars noticed that. At the end of the mission, even if the Black Templars still didn't see eye to eye with Rush, they gifted Rush the fallen Black Templar's tabard as a sign of respect.